Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a junkyard 7.3 here, so to speak, and it's a late 99 to 2003, whenever they quit the 7.3. I don't know which year it is specifically. I haven't run the serial number to find out. There's no label on the front here that's accessible, and the valve covers are not the right valve covers, or the stickers are gone, one or the other. So anyway, today we have technically a fully dressed 7.3 here, so to speak. Obviously missing injectors, turbo, high pressure oil pump, all your cores. However, I picked this up to have as extra parts, so to speak. The heads were still good, hoping the block and rotating assembly is still good. So we're going to tear into that a little bit later and see. However, today we're going to cover stuck accessories. The fan is on there, and we don't have a belt to provide us any resistance to hold the fan. So we are going to have to hold the pulley without damaging it and get the fan clutch off. And we're going to have to heat that nut up to get that off of there. So I'm going to show you how we do that. And then we have some bolts up here, and got these two out. This one's very stuck, and then all of these are very stuck. So we're going to show you how to get a stuck bolt out of the alternator here, and these stuck bolts out of this AC compressor. This is a very common issue on northern trucks, especially if the engine's been out in the weather at all, which obviously this one has been. So we have lots of dissimilar metal problems. So at this point, we have to try to get this compressor off so we can save the bracket, or, try to get the compressor off to replace it, if you're working on your own truck. This is where I come in and say, anti-seize is your friend if you're working on your truck and you're dealing with aluminum accessories. Because if you're not using anti-seize, this is what you're going to get. So we're going to use a myriad of heating things here, hopefully try to get these bolts out without breaking them, and we're going to hopefully be successful in this. Now, I've gotten these fans off before using the heat method, so the problem here is holding the stupid thing from spinning while you're trying to get that clutch off. So we're going to start with the fan. So I'm going to grab my induction tool, trusty induction tool, and we're going to use that to get this fan off, hopefully. So we're down here looking at the fan clutch here, and you can see that I've tried to get this off already, and it's not coming off. So we have a flexible induction thing here. I don't even know what to call it. So basically what you do is you come down here and you wrap this around this nut a couple times. Just trying to get it so that our tails are kind of even here. And then you just put these in the induction tool here. So we have this around the nut, and you can see that we have the induction tool here. So we're just going to start heating. So we've been on this for a little over 3 minutes now, and she's a little bit warm. See that smoke there? So I think we're going to go ahead and try to get this off of here. So what we're going to do is we're going to release one of these. So this would be the inside one. So we're going to release this one nut here. Pull that out. Spin your fan. Get that out of there. Try and get this nut off of here. It's hard to do with no help here. Okay. Tons of fun to do by yourself here, but the heating trick works. You can see that smoke in there. So that's how you get the stuck fan off of there. So up next for us here is going to be this alternator. Like I said, we got these two bolts out previously. Don't mind the mess. Everything's kind of shoehorned in this shop right now. And you can see that that's not coming off. So the first easiest method is to hit this with a hammer. Break your alternator at the same time, but it's a garbage alternator, so I'm not too worried about it. You can see, still doesn't work. So we'll try the heat. Basically what you want to do is heat this up right here. Now aluminum is a great heat sink, so this will take a lot of heat. So let's see if that'll come up now. So a little bit of heat goes a long way. Now we've got this off, and we don't have to worry about screwing up our bracket. If you're trying to get a seized alternator off, just heat that bracket up and that'll take the bolt out. You can see we tried the punch method first, and didn't work too good. So I knew it wasn't going to work, but I wanted to show it to you anyway. Just causes bolt damage for the most part. So now we're going to go ahead and try to get the AC compressor off using the same fashion. So same thing here. None of these will move. Don't want to use a bigger impact because it's just going to twist them off, and we don't want to do that. So once again, back to the heat. And same thing here. You want to just heat up where the threads would be. So let's see here. This one's right down in this general area. It's a little bit hard to get to here. You can kind of see it's on the front face here below the AC mount. So there's one. Nope, that one's putting up a fight today. Okay, so there's two. Now we're going to do this other side. So that one came out. We've got one more to go. So you can see we got our bolts out here. And we're going to let them cool off a little bit because they're a little warm. However, you see this doesn't want to really come off here. There are usually retainers here for your sizing, and that's why the holes are a little bit bigger here in the front. But these bolts are still usable. This accessory bracket's still usable. I would just clean the threads out. And now we got our stuck pieces off of here. Now we're going to go ahead and continue removing pieces on the front here, see if anything else gets stuck. So we got the accessory bracket off over here. It's a 13 millimeter bolt that holds the tensioner to the actual bracket. And this bracket is hosed because we have a groove worn in right here. So this is actually junk. And we have our accessory bracket here that we removed. Now we also took the pulley off of there. And I'm going to show you something special about these pulley bolts. So these bolts are special. You can see they have a shoulder on them, and you see that plastic bushing that's on there also. You want to make sure that you don't lose that when you're changing your idler pulleys. And this is very, very important to keep that idler where it's supposed to be. So do not lose these when you're taking apart any of your accessories. So we're going to make sure that this bolt doesn't get misplaced somehow and keep it back here in the bracket. So now we're going to go ahead and work on getting this power steering pulley off. And it's a very simple setup. You have a ring here, 2 collars, and a puller / pusher. So you basically wind that puller socket or nut or whatever you want to call this out to where it's flush here. And then you'll take your collars here. Now there's one side and then the other side. Now you're going to put this side against the pulley, so it would be on here like this. Okay. But what you do first is you take the half and then you put your puller in it, and you take the other half and put it on top, and take your collar and slide it over. Now at this point you can wind these tight so you have tension there, and you can see that this collar spins. All that does is just keep this two pieces of the collar from separating while you're pulling the pulley off. So now that we have this all installed here, so I have the OTC kit here, and the inside nut is a 13/16, and the outside one here is a 5/8. So you basically want to hold one and just start pulling off with the other one. So you'll hold your middle, and what you'll do is spin the inside nut so that it comes off. So now that we've gotten that pretty much broke free, I'll grab a ratchet wrench, and that'll make that a lot quicker. And just like that, your pulley's off. And you can take your collar, and then your two puller collars off, and pull your puller out. Now there is an inside and outside to this pulley, so whenever you are doing this, don't screw yourself or the next guy. Make sure that the collar's on the outside. Make sure that you don't put it on the inside. So now that we've gotten the pulley off of here, we're going to go ahead and take the pump off of the actual bracket here. Once again, dissimilar metals. So you always want to make sure you put anti-seize on these. You can see all the crud coming out of there. So that one snapped off, which I saw that coming. Not really surprised, but you can see that it's actually stuck inside the bracket here. So once again, dissimilar metals caused that a problem for us here. This pump's junk anyway, so it's going to end up in the scrap pile. The returns are broken off, and it probably doesn't work good anyway. But once again, dissimilar metals caused us a problem here, and that's why we should always use anti-seize on your aluminum and steel parts. So now that we've got the power steering pump out of the way here, we're just going to go ahead and remove this bracket. So now that we've got the bracket out of the way here, we have full access to our water pump area. So our next general problem is the thermostat housing bolts. Now these guys can really cause you some problems, and I don't generally want to snap these off. Granted, we're not reusing this water pump. It's going to go in the scrap pile, but we're going to try to save as much of the little stuff as we can, such as the bolts. And you know, this thermostat neck is trash for the most part, but I want to try to save the bolts because they come in handy if you ever were to break one, and it's nice to have extras laying around. So our next step here is going to be trying to get these bolts out, and generally these are corroded in, and there's a lot of grease and grime around here. So I'm going to try to heat these up and try not to catch anything on fire here. So we'll see how that's actually going to go, and see if we can get these out, because these are generally a stuck problem also. I'm not going to use the impact on these first and show you if they're actually tight or not. Yep, those aren't going to come off, so we're definitely going to have to heat those ones up too. And we obviously have a coolant sensor here, so we don't want to melt that and cause a problem with that. So if you're doing this yourself, make sure that you remove your sensor here and also remove your heater hose here and get that off before you remove the water pump. So we're going to start with this guy here. On this one, it's a 3/4. So we're going to get that out of there so we don't catch it on fire or melt it or anything like that. So next we're going to get some heat to this and try to get these bolts out. So we got one there. Got that one there. Now this is going to be the worst one because of the oil. So you can see we've already got fire. So that one ended up breaking on us because I didn't want to have a huge fire here. But 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So we've got this broken bolt here. We weren't able to keep heat on it long enough to get it all the way out, but we got the 2 in the front out. I just didn't want to cause a large fire here with all this oil residue here. So at this point now we can go ahead and take our pump off the front of the engine here. So we'll start with the pulley here. We're going to save it, and then we'll get this heater hose neck off of here, and we'll get this lower radiator hose off and get it out of here, and we'll start getting some of this stuff off the front of this engine, and that'll be pretty much all the accessories off. We're going to go ahead and remove this heater hose here using our handy little hose clamp pliers here. So once again, these are self-latching, which is great. So just kind of pull it off of there. And I generally try to keep these clamps because you never know when you could use one. So we've got that off of there. And now we can go ahead and take our pulley off. And for what it's worth, the Super Duty pulleys are different than the OBS pulleys. So if you're trying to run a fluid damper, the Super Duty pulley is the way you want to go to get access to get the belt off. So now with the pulley out of the way here, a little bit of play in this water pump. Doesn't sound very good. It's junk anyway. We're going to pull this hose off of here, and then we can start by dismantling everything else. So there's a pipe plug on this side that I'm going to take out and keep, and we may take out the housing here and just throw it in the scrap bin because it's obviously garbage. So just going to dismantle this and kind of show you the way to get this stuff off of here and show you what's behind it. So this one on this truck's a 1-inch wrench. So usually those are pretty tight. So there's an O-ring in here. You can see that this one's broken. So whenever you go to do this, make sure you replace that O-ring. Because if you don't, you're asking yourself for a leak. So we have our heater hose neck off of there. Something else we're going to keep. Then we have a pipe plug over here on this side that we're going to take out. And we'll take it out before we pull the water pump off. So I always save these out of the water pumps if I'm junking them, because you never know when you could use a plug. And plus this one's brass. So this is a much more useful plug than, say, a steel one. So now that we have that all off, we can go ahead and work on getting this water pump completely off. So these are the 2 bolts for our little neck outlet here. And I always take those off and have to hit that with a hammer to get it off of there. It's got an O-ring on it also. So just like that, it's off. Now we can go ahead and continue removing the rest of this water pump. Something to keep in mind too is some of these bolts go through the timing cover and hold the timing cover on as well. So that would be the longer ones, like this one here and this one here, and then these 2 over here. So when you are replacing your timing cover and you go to put your seal and everything on, make sure that you have the water pump handy, because you're going to have to put the water pump on too, to make sure that you get a good clamp on that. So that one was short, so that one doesn't go all the way through. But you see this one's long, so this one goes all the way through. So that one holds the timing cover to the head there, or the front of the block. You see this one's very long. So that one goes here, that one holds the water pump and the timing cover. Another long one. So this one also holds the timing cover and the water pump. And I have no idea how much coolant is still left in this block. So we're going to go ahead and take the rest of the water pump bolts out. These are just the remaining ones here. So here's another long one. Okay, so this long one holds the water pump to the timing cover. So I just cracked that loose, and there should be no other bolts holding that on. So if you're going to do something like I just did, don't hit it hard. now you're going to see what the inside of this thing looks like, which is pretty ugly. So you can see the inside of the water pump doesn't look too bad. However, we have a little bit of corrosion starting, a little bit of rust inside here, but the timing cover doesn't look bad at all. So now you can see we have pretty full access to the timing cover here. The only thing that's in the way now would be obviously the cam position sensor, your harmonic balancer, and your low pressure oil pump, which is down behind the harmonic balancer. However, I've covered the harmonic balancer video in another video, redoing that main seal that's behind there. If you're doing any of this work here and you're going to be removing your timing cover, make sure that you replace that seal. It does require, yes, another specialty tool. So I have a video on changing that. So if you are interested in taking off your harmonic balancer and getting to that seal, then you can watch that video. But I hadn't covered anything with the stuck alternator, the stuck AC, the stuck thermostat housing, which are very common problems on the 7.3s. A lot of guys go endless amounts of time without removing any of those pieces. So whenever the time comes that you need to remove those pieces, you get into a jam because there's a problem and it won't come off. So I wanted to cover how to get those pieces off without snapping bolts. And we did lose one bolt back here, but that's because I was more concerned about causing a fire and trying to use minimal heat as possible. So if we would have heated that up a little bit more, that bolt would have came out without an issue. But with all the oil and stuff that was over here, we didn't want to cause any problems. So we just left it and said it is what it is. But we've got the whole front of this engine exposed here. The high pressure oil pump's been previously removed. The fuel bowl has been previously removed. So that would be these two holes and then this cover that's missing. And obviously the back pressure sensor, which is off because they took the cover off here. But wanted to cover stuck accessories and getting the accessories off of a 7.3 so that you guys could go over this. And if you have to do any repairs behind the accessories, such as the exhaust back pressure tube or maybe an oil rail, that'll give you the idea on what needs to be done and what to do in a scenario whenever you run into changing the timing cover. Your AC pump won't come off, your alternator won't come off, and they're corroded on. So that'll kind of give you the idea on how to get that stuff off, because there's not really a good way to get it off other than the heat. So hopefully this will help you guys out in working on your own truck, and I appreciate you guys watching the video. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.